Good morning, Internet. It's Thursday, November 3rd. I'm Taylor Rockwell, and you are listening to The Goalmouth, a podcast collaboration between Dirty Tackle, Howler Magazine, and the Total Soccer Show. On yesterday's program, George made a compelling case for why Sebastian Giovinco should be this year's MLS MVP. Unfortunately, Mr. Qureshi failed to make any Parks and Recreation / Little Sebastian references, which means his entire argument is now invalid. Sorry, George. Anyway, on today's menu of bite-sized soccer news, FIFA names its nominees for the 2016 Male Coach of the Year. Jose Mourinho doesn't make that list, nor will he be allowed to make the bench for Manchester United's next game. Thomas Tuchel hates cell phones. Dongfeng Zhu hates both his face and notoriety. The Washington Spirit hates winning, and Inter Milan hates managerial stability. That's a lot of hate, but we're going to do it in an optimistic way. Up first, FIFA announced the shortlist candidates for the 2016 Men's Coach of the Year. The nominees include Wales coach Chris Coleman, France's Didier Deschamps, Portugal's Fernando Santos, Real's Zinedine Zidane, Atletico's Diego Simeone, and Leicester's Claudio Ranieri, amongst others. Jose Mourinho would have been included on that list if it weren't for you meddling medical personnel, or locker room rats, or biased officials, or unfair media members, or cheating opponents. Yeah, it's definitely everyone else's fault that the special one wasn't included. I have to say, to paraphrase Raylan Givens, if you run into a jerk in the morning, you run into a jerk. If you run into a jerk all day, maybe you're the jerk. While we're talking about Jose, the Manchester United manager was handed a one-match ban and a £50,000 fine for his actions during his club's games against Liverpool and Burnley. The punishment means Mourinho will be suspended against Bob Bradley Swansea, but will be back in time to annoy Arsene Wenger when United host Arsenal on November 19th. The suspension comes roughly at the same time that Bastian Schweinsteiger was allowed to return to first-team training, after his apparent exile to some disused part of United's Carrington training ground, which I'm fairly confident is still nicer than any field I've ever set foot upon, or maybe even looked upon. Here's hoping that Bastian takes advantage of Mourinho's absence by throwing on a blonde afro, piercing his ear, and then pretending to be Marouane Fellaini in order to trick his way into the matchday squad. Since we're talking suspensions, let's talk Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. The Gabonese striker was dropped for Borussia Dortmund's Thursday night Champions League clash with Sporting Club de Portugal. Dortmund refused to give much information on the situation, with manager Thomas Tuchel stating that he was dropped for, quote, internal reasons. Club CEO Hans-Joachim Watzke echoed that statement when he stated, quote, the internal reasons are exactly that, internal, end quote. However, reports in Germany indicate that the striker got into trouble after he was caught on his phone in a pre-match team meeting. Tuchel reportedly took issue with the situation and chose to drop his star goalscorer. Meanwhile, English-language papers followed their investigative instincts, delved deeper into the issue, and came away with meaningful stories about club rules. Just kidding. They all immediately started printing rumors linking Aubameyang with each and every club capable of spending even a modest sum on players. A few even went so far as to indicate a deal had already been reached with Real Madrid for a January move, with editors evidently willing to overlook the fact that Real is currently in the middle of a transfer embargo. Just some solid research there, guys. Well done. Meanwhile, things haven't been too good for Dongfeng Zhu. In 2004, the Chinese international became the first player from East Asia to sign for Manchester United. For those preparing to Google, Park Ji-sung signed in 2005. I've done it for you. More recently, Dong underwent facial reconstructive surgery in an effort to stop people from making fun of him. The former striker was released by United in 2008 after making a grand total of one appearance, and went on to have unsuccessful stints in Poland, Armenia, and China before retiring in 2014. According to Spanish newspaper Marca, Dong opted for surgery in hopes of curbing the mockery he faced on a daily basis as a result of his footballing failure. Basically, he thought he was too recognizable, so he decided to change up his face a little bit. On the one hand, this is a somewhat tragic story that serves as a reminder of just how much pressure these guys are under. On the other, and you can go ahead and call me crazy, but I'm inclined to believe that maybe publicly showcasing your new face on Chinese TV might also make it then readily recognizable and might kind of defeat the overall purpose of the surgery. Then again, who knows? In NWSL news, the Orlando Pride acquired veteran fullback Ali Krieger from the Washington Spirit. The 32-year-old, who has made 95 appearances for the U.S. women's national team and was a key member of the 2015 World Cup winning squad, reportedly first learned of the transfer when she was contacted by Orlando, not Washington. But don't worry, Washington fans, you're upgrading from the number 9 spot in the elite player allocation order to number 2. So there's that. Because, anytime you can trade a key player who doubles as one of the faces of your organization for an improved spot on a list, pretty sure you have to do it. And finally, 86 days ago, Frank de Boer was speaking at his inaugural Inter Milan press conference, and the new manager focused on his long-term plans to return the club to its former glory. 85 days later, he became the club's 7th manager in 5 years to get the sack. According to reports, it seems Inter is expected to contact every manager who has ever managed, though Diego Simeone is at the top of their search list. Sports Illustrated's Grant Wall broke the news that Inter are prepared to offer their former player $16.5 million per year, after taxes, to take over managerial duties in the summer of 2018. That's when his current deal with Atletico Madrid expires. So until then, best of luck to the caretaker managers they half-heartedly appoint until their first choice becomes available. Messrs. Guidelin and Hiddink, I'm looking in your direction. That's it for today's Goalmouth. You can explore all these stories in more depth by subscribing to our newsletter. The link is in the show notes. I've been Taylor Rockwell. Ryan Bailey will be with you tomorrow. But until then, I'll leave you with today's Goalmouth top tip. Jose Mourinho would have won it all if it weren't for you meddling kids.